community that you're willing to listen to somebody talk about it and try to make it better. Each of us know that the legislature just got finished their 2010 session, and unfortunately we had another session that didn't get a whole lot accomplished. We had a lot of big promises going into the session. We didn't have a whole lot of action. We've got a covenant that was made in 2006 by our legislators that they promised us that if we put them back into office, that they would do 21 things. Things like pack-to-pack transfers, things about family, things about education. They did 3 of them out of 21. I don't know on your scale, but that's a failure. We need to change that. We had a lot of things that caused problems this year, and gambling is one of the ones. We can't get anything done because gambling continues to be an issue in Alabama. We've got to get that issue solved. So what happens now? Well, what I call cash for votes is going to start. It's not cash for clunkers, it's going to be cash for votes. You're going to see your legislators start passing out hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. They'll give it to librarians, they'll give it to schools, they'll give it to teachers, they'll give it to fire departments, they'll give it to everybody in the county that sticks their hand out. And all they're doing is trying to get us to forget what they've done for the last several years. And unfortunately, I hope that we won't forget what they've done for the last 4 years. So what's the problem in Montgomery? The problem in Montgomery is we got a bunch of people down there that love to talk. They like to hear themselves talk. They like to hear themselves say things and tell people stuff, but they don't have any action behind it. And that's the difference between what's down there now and what I'm asking y'all to vote for, and that's me. I'm a doer. I get things done when it needs to get done. When things need to be done in the community, I participated and got involved and made those things happen. When we had people in Coleman that had health care problems, they couldn't afford to go to the doctor, and by the time they went to the doctor, they were going to the emergency room. That's too late. I was one of the 12 people that originally started the Good Samaritan Health Clinic that came out of Grace Church in Coleman. That has been a tremendous benefit to the community. We've not taken a dime from the government. We've not taken a dime from any federal agency. It's all independent Coleman people that support that. Many churches are involved, and that's one of the best programs we've got in Coleman right now. Several years ago, we found that young children were not getting the help they needed to get through school. 3rd graders. They weren't getting support at home. They weren't reading well, and they're going to drop out when they get to be in high school if they don't read well. We started volunteers in public schools. There was a group of about 15 of us that got together and started that program about 7 years ago, where adults would go into the school systems. They would sit down with this child for an hour a week, and they would try to help that child. And most of the time, it was just give the kids some attention, and they would respond. That's another program that we haven't taken a dime from anybody from, not from the government, not from the state government or the federal government, but it's things that needed to be done. The Chamber of Commerce in Coleman has grown over the years, and I've been an active part of that. We had a piece of land in southeast Coleman that was a swamp. It was right next to my office. It was right next to Heritage Park. It was a swamp. And over the years, my wife and I finally decided we're going to do something to clean that swamp up. And we did. And we built fun zones. If anybody's been down in that end of town lately, you can see what business is done in that community, in that area of town. It's exploded. If you try to get out of my dental office now on a brand new 4-lane road, you're going to wait for a while. That's the kind of stuff we can do, and that's the kind of stuff I do and I get involved in. I get things done and I try to get them done in a way that benefits a number of people, not just me or not just my family. So what are the problems in Montgomery right now? One of the biggest problems we got right now is corruption. You don't know from day to day what legislators get what from who and how much, because they don't have to tell you, and I think that's wrong. You can pass money. If I wanted to give Randy Johnson $100,000, I could give it to a PAC over here, that PAC can pass it to a PAC over here, that PAC can pass it to a PAC over here, And before it got to Randy Johnson, it would come from the Christian Coalition of Cullman, Alabama. When it could be the dirtiest money that you've ever seen in your life. That's got to stop. We've got to clean up the package. We've got to make sure that you as individuals know what our legislators are doing and what they're getting from. And I think that's just common sense. The next thing I think we've got to do is we've got to create jobs. We've got to create jobs in a way where small business can expand. We've got to give incentives for small business to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. We've got to give small business a chance to thrive. Those are the ones who make the job. It's not going to be the Hyundais and it's not going to be the Mercedes. It's going to be the small individual companies in Cullman that make jobs for people. If you've got a job, you've got a great family life. Anytime you've got a good job and you don't have to worry about losing your job, your family life is going to be a whole lot better. Anytime you don't have to drive to Birmingham or Huntsville or Decatur, you've got a better family life. You can be with your family instead of being on the road or sitting in a traffic jam. And that makes for a better family. And we've got to make for a better family. We've got to take care of the poor of this society. We've got terrible laws when it comes to custody issues. We've got terrible laws when it comes to adoption issues. Those things we've got to discuss, but we don't get a chance to because we're talking about gambling. So let's talk about gambling just for a minute. If we look back in history, let's look at Phoenix City in the 1940s. Phoenix City had a gambling group come in and wanted to put slot machines in Phoenix City. They corrupted the city council, which allowed them to come in the first place. Then they corrupted some of the people in Montgomery to keep the Montgomery people from going down there and cleaning it up. And in 10 short years, the Attorney General of America, of the United States of America, called Phoenix City the most wicked city in America. They murdered the Attorney General from Alabama that was going to clean it up. They just murdered him. They finally had to call in the National Guard to clean that mess up. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you have a history of something like that you can deny that could happen and there's a good chance it will happen. And unfortunately, we see in the legislature right now that gambling money is playing a big role in some of these people's decisions. And I can tell you, I don't think that's the way Alabama should be. They came into Phoenix City and they offered 4 things. They were going to give a lot of money to charities. They were going to create economic development. They were going to create a bunch of jobs. And they were going to get revenue for the government. And I don't know about y'all, but I've heard those 4 things in the last 6 months over and over and over again. And it doesn't happen. That money goes to the people that it's not supposed to go to. If we think that gambling is going to fix the problem in Alabama,